I'm sure you'll agree, it's time to get this thing on the floor. In the previous few videos, I've fully installed air ride, and now today it's finally time to put the wheels back on the car on the floor, and air it out. I'm not too sure how well these bushes are going to hold up. They're really old and ropey now, and this air suspension is going to go up and down just as much as these pop-ups do. So let's get this wheel on, put some air in the bags, and get this thing on the floor. The wheels are back on now, and by the looks of this arch gap, I think I've got this set too high, but we'll see when it's down on the ground. Okay, that is quite the monster truck. Let's air it out and see how it goes. Okay, the front is pretty low, probably about an inch lower than I had it before, but the back, that definitely needs to be lowered down some more. Let's see how quick it raises up. I'm actually really impressed with that speed. Time to lower the back a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of a pain to lower these. As you can see, I've had to disconnect the shock from the wishbone, disconnect the anti-roll bar, and disconnect the top arm. You have to push the suspension out of the way, and then you could twist this cup up, lowering the ride height. So hopefully I've lowered that enough. I'm gonna lock the locking rings and tape off the threads to protect them, put it all back together, and see how it sits. I've lowered the back now, let's see how that sits. That's better. I'm tucking rim at the front and almost tucking rim at the back, but it's a lot better now. I've got no arch gap. It's a good job my arches are rusty and don't care about them, but I think I need to roll what's left of these arches and get myself some spacers now. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Definitely on the front, look how far that's sitting in now. I could get my fist in here. Well, the front's definitely rubbed, but only on full lock at normal ride height. So my temporary solution is to use one of these bars that was included in the kit, pull that away from the wheel a little bit, but I think I'm going to have to look for a better solution in the near future. I'm going to drive around for a little while and keep an eye on this. If it doesn't rub at all, that is a real big bonus. And the best thing about fitting this, I could get the jack right underneath without having to use little bits of wood or little ramps. So the rear's adjusted now. I can't get the camera far enough back to actually see whether it's level. All the wheels are torqued up. I think it's time to take it for a test drive. Okay, with 20 PSI in the bags, I am rubbing, but I'm pretty sure that is the front arch inner liners. Let's pop a few more PSI in it and go for a drive. Okay, so I just had to put 80 PSI in the bags to get the car off the drive, as the drive is quite bumpy, and even though these bags can take about 120 PSI before they max out, 80 PSI was rock solid. It felt like I had no suspension at all. In fact, I could feel the tyres bumping off the ground a little bit, but it was a lot easier getting my car off the driveway without scraping the chassis all the way along. But then when I finally did get it on the road, I lowered it down to about 45 PSI, and the front right-hand side wheel was still a little bit up, so I lowered it all the way down and then back up to ride height, and then the right hand side was still down. After a couple of corners, this did level itself out, so I think I've found my ride height for now, which is about 48 to 52 PSI, and compared to any coilover I've had before, this ride is like butter. Now, it definitely hasn't got the performance like a coilover would, or it might be my 30-year-old suspension components, but it handles the corners pretty well. And all the big and little bumps in the road are a lot more tolerable now. I know there's a big bump here somewhere. Easy. I definitely think I need to add some more chassis support to this car, as now with decent suspension I can feel everything else move. But other than that, I'm really impressed with this, and the exhaust sounds pretty good too. So I've had the air ride installed on the Mark 1 for about a month now, and it's been great. Not perfect, but great. The first couple of days I had a few issues with leaks around the air tank, but sorted them pretty quickly. Another issue I had was with setting the ride height. Now this changed day to day because I was relying on a PSI number on a gauge to set my ride height. Now this number would change if I had a passenger in the car or a full tank of fuel. For example, if it was just me by myself with half a tank of fuel, the front and back bags would be set to about 45 PSI, which gave me a pretty good ride height and a nice smooth suspension feel. But if I had a passenger, I'd have to raise that to 50 PSI all the way round. And that brings us on to the next issue. The car won't raise and lower evenly. The front end definitely walks up, and I'm led to believe that's caused by one of three issues. Issue number one could be caused by the lines that lead to the bags. So because my paddle switches are over there, the line from the paddle switch to that bag is only that long. But the line from the paddle switch to this bag goes behind the dash through the bulkhead and then to the bag, which is 3 times the length of the other one. But personally, I don't think that's causing the issue. I think it's all down to the suspension. So we all know the suspension bushes are really old and pretty much had it. And I think the wishbones are binding up as they change angle. So when that side locks up, this side raises, then this side will lock up and that side raises. And I'm battling with the ride height trying to get this level. Or the third reason could be the anti-roll bar. It could be too soft. We know the anti-roll bar bushes have pretty much had it, and I think that's causing side to side to fight against each other. So let me know what you think the cause is in the comments down below. But that leads me on to my last issue. Because the air ride isn't raising up evenly, the chassis is twisting a little bit, and that's causing my door to play up. But because I was slamming the door so hard, the wing mirror popped out and broke the day before the MOT. So I did plan on putting some chassis bracing on this car, but that plan is way on into the future. I think also in the future I will be putting this on e-management. This is going to help with leveling the car out, having a predetermined ride height, and hopefully control it all with an app on my phone. But that is really expensive, and I've got a turbo project to finish first. Talking about expensive, you may be questioning why I've put air ride on the car when it's in this state. Well, there is reason behind my madness. The arches on the Mark 1, front and back, are completely rusted out and flaking apart. And this is where my logic came in. If I spent loads of time and money repairing these arches, getting rid of all the rust and making it look good, and then put air suspension on it, and the first time I air it out, I completely destroy the arches, I would have wasted a lot of money and a lot of time. So this is why I fitted the air ride now. If I aired it out and destroyed the arches now, I really wouldn't be too bothered. So now is the perfect time to play around with some spacers and see what arch modifications I need to do in the future to make this sit pretty. And just a quick update on the front lines with my temporary solution. The wheel hasn't scrubbed on that line at all, so this is now a permanent solution. So that is air ride on the Mark 1, all finished and done for now. Let me know in the comments down below if this helped you install air ride on your MX5. As per usual, like, comment, share and subscribe if you're new. It's time to get the Mark 1 out of the garage and the Mark 2 back in and get the Mark 2 up and running. That's all for now. I'll see you in the next one.